Yo, hi, I'm Thilo. I sound a little bit cold. This is because I have also caught the virus now, but I'm fine so far. Only the voice is a little bit occupied, and I expect that the next few days it will be better quickly. So, why this video cast? Because I would like to be able to speak English well, and to train that or for that, you just have to speak. And that's why I record these podcasts or videocasts and always try to find a topic that I can talk about. The reason that I show also my script in this video is that I'm not yet 100% confident in speaking English freely, and therefore I always prepare myself by writing a script. In addition, I want to give you the chance to read what I have said if you are also still learning. By the way, I'm not a professional in English, and I don't claim to deliver everything in correct grammar, intonation, and spelling and so on. I don't want to teach you English. I just want to share my experiences on my way to learn English with you. Today, I want to talk about how I learned English and how I got to the point of my current English skills. I started to learn English in grade 7 until grade 12 and then also the first year of university. During that time, I think I had 1 or 2 hours of English lessons a week, and so you would think that I could speak English quite well after that. Unfortunately, it isn't the case, or it wasn't the case. I got quite good grades at school, but the knowledge hasn't burned itself deep into my memory. In addition, I learned English in GDR times, where it wasn't so popular to speak English, and there were hardly any opportunities to use English outside of school. Going to English-speaking countries wasn't possible, and the internet wasn't invited at that time. It was also more popular to speak Russian, which never really interested me. That was 30 years ago now, so I could speak English reasonably well in my school days, but after that I hardly used it, and it faded more and more. So in the last years, I had to admit to myself that I wasn't really good at English anymore. Also, it always annoyed me that I couldn't really speak English, and the desire to be able to speak English was always with me, along with the desire to be able to play an instrument, which I can't do. But I haven't really pursued either consistently. In 2019, I took on a new job. I became head of digitization and corporate development, and I was really looking forward to that. But there was one thing I hadn't considered at all. I suddenly found myself in English speaking meetings, and it was highly embarrassed that I could hardly understand anything, let alone speak it myself. But that was exactly the kick I needed. I needed to finally start refreshing my English. Also, refreshing isn't the right word. I had to realize that apart from a few English holiday phrases, almost nothing of the English I had learned was still available. So I had to learn from scratch grammar, sentence structure, vocabulary, etc. How did I do that? Luckily, there is the internet, and there you can find endless content to learn English. You will find a lot of English teachers who share their content for free, and most of all, you can find different types of teachers and different ways of teaching English. So you are able to find exactly the kind of teaching English that suits you. Don't get stuck in the first YouTube video if it doesn't feel good to you. keep searching, and you will find something or someone that works for you. I remember Jill from ingvid.com very well. She seems to be an already tired teacher who enjoys producing educational videos. It was so much fun to listen to her, and I understood her very well. By the way, one thing I did from the beginning was to only listen to English speaking videos, was kind of a rule I gave myself. But this meant that I often had to pause the video in the beginning to look up vocabulary. However, this quickly improved, and it was helpful to stay with the same teacher, because then you became familiar with their vocabulary and the ways they form sentences. That's how I started to learn English, and in the beginning I mainly listened to videos on English grammar and sentence structure and so on, and especially I had to relearn the tenses. Somehow I couldn't find any of that in my memory. I think this is probably because I found it very difficult to learn grammar even in German. I just didn't see any sense in learning something that I, at least in German, I know intuitively. And I thought this would also work intuitively in English at some point, but that wasn't the case. What I also did at the beginning was to make personal overviews of what I had learned. That's something I like to do a lot, creating overviews, nicely structured and visual appealing. And so I want to switch the screen, and here you can see some of the overviews I prepared. Here in this special case, an overview about the tenses, present, past and future. And in this overview you see a little bit how to describe the tenses, what we have to consider in building the tenses and so on. It's I like this to make such overviews and to make it visually appealing and so on. Here is the passive voice form and so on. That's what I like. After about half a year, I suddenly realized that I was also listening to English language videos on other topics than English grammar and sentence structure and so on. And as I realized that, this was a first small success for me. At that time, however, I only really understood the speakers. I was familiar with from my YouTube series. When I listened to this news on CNN or BBC or watched an English film, I could hardly understand anything, which really frustrated me. In addition, I often had the feeling that I wasn't really getting ahead. So I spoke to my boss and expressed my wish to go abroad for a limited time in an English-speaking country. He welcomed it and recommended Sweden. In the end, I spent half a year on an assignment with Swedish colleagues in Malmö. Also, almost all Swedes speak very good English, which really impressed me. I hadn't considered that I was surrounded by Swedish in everyday life in Sweden. That meant I had to actively look for opportunities to speak English. Therefore, at the end of the 6 months, I wasn't as fluent in English as I had hoped, even though the time itself in Sweden was one of the best experiences of my life. Meanwhile, I understand business English very well and I'm able to express myself in English. However, I need to keep at it, and so I'm trying to improve and expand my English with this podcast, for example. I admit that I still struggle a bit with speaking, but I now believe that I'm blocking myself in my head. Recently, recently I had an interesting experience about this. I just bubbled away in English on a topic for myself. I can't remember which one. And it worked. In the end, I was really surprised what I'm able to say in English. This proved that my internal English word and sentence memory is now full enough to be able to express myself very well and to switch to this English stuck in my mind, which is, in my opinion, kind of very important success point to speak English. I just don't trust myself enough yet, and I'm still afraid of embarrassing myself when I fail in speaking. That's a topic for the future, building trust and just doing that. So that was the episode on the topic, how is my English? I will continue to practice and strengthen my speaking. Be curious what the next topic will be. And so also this was the very first video, and maybe I look back to this video 3 years in 3 years or in 5 years, and I would see how I could improve myself from this point. So stay tuned, stay healthy. Your Thilo. Thank you. Bye.